All right, here we are. It's Friday. Thank God it's Friday all day long. And it is August the 22nd already. Game day. And so, first day of football, volleyball starting. Is that tonight too?
Yes, sir. We played last night.
You play hot? No, we don't want to talk about last night? Okay. Just like, and I don't know if I've told you all this, but I was a volleyball coach here when the school first opened. I was a coach freshman, and when I was in Baton Rouge, I was a varsity coach. I got pictures up there that kind of will prove it, and I actually got some coaching awards for volleyball. But back when I coached volleyball, it was not rally scoring. It was the whole side out thing, and we didn't have libero, and all the substitution rules were completely different. So if I was to try to coach, I would have to relearn all of the new rules and new strategies and things on that. But in our few 20 minutes that we have left, I want us to kind of talk about, again, our systems. Yesterday we went through about the English system and how crazy it is compared to the metric system. And we learned the basic prefixes of the metric system and learned the Ivan Trailer method of metric to metric conversions of just subtracting the exponents. And then that tells me how many places to move the decimal and in what direction. We just subtract. So again, if we look at something like, if I said I had 453 millimeters, and I wanted to know how many kilometers that was. Well, does anybody remember what the exponent is for millimeters?
-3.
10 to the minus 3. And really, minus 3 is what you need to remember. What is kilo? Positive 3. Okay? So on a number line, from minus 3 to plus 3, it's going to be 6. So I know I'm going to move it 6 places, but which direction? Well, I'm going from something that's small to something that's bigger. So it means the number is going to be a smaller number. Okay, because it takes fewer yards to measure a distance than it does inches, right? So it's going to take fewer kilometers to measure the distance than it is millimeters. So I'm going to move it 6. But I can just say minus 3 minus a plus 3 is going to equal minus 6. Right? So I know I'm going to move it 6 places left. So it's going to end up being 1, 2, 3. And then so I'll have 3 zeros. 4, 5, 3 kilometers. So a lot of this you can just do in your head. It's so much easier than trying to go from inches, 12 inches, to feet, 3 feet in a yard, okay, 18 inches in a cubit, 5,280 feet in a mile, 1,760 feet in a mile. The number changes every time in the English system. In the metric system, we just have to move the decimal. We just have to know how many places to move it. We have 6 prefixes that you have to know. 3 of them are the ones most common: kilo, centi, and milli. Those are the ones used most frequently. Okay? But we're going to just practice, so we need to be able to go metric to metric. But because we're in America and we use the English system, we've got to learn how to convert between the English system. So I gave you a ruler, okay? And when you look at that ruler, first thing I want you to do is carefully, I know that you've done this before, but you've never really maybe looked at it, but look at the relationship between inches and what is the 1 through 100 on here. That's actually not 100, 1 through 30 on here. What unit is that? Centimeters, right? So compare, here's a centimeter, okay, compared to an inch. So just look so you can kind of see. And so what's the smallest line? If this is a centimeter, what's the smallest line? 1/10 of a centimeter, which is going to be a millimeter. Okay? I just want you to visually, I just pass these out just so you can visualize. So when we talk about a centimeter or a millimeter, you have an eyeball about how big it is. Okay? So I know that we've looked at rulers before, but I don't know if you've ever just stopped to really look at how big a centimeter is compared to an inch. Now, generally speaking, you know, we talk about a cubit being from the elbow to the tip of the finger. An inch was generally the distance on this knuckle. But again, that kind of depends upon how big your hand is, you know. So mine, I don't know if that's really an inch or not, but it gives an approximation of what an inch would be, okay? So when we look at, obviously is a centimeter bigger or smaller than an inch?
Smaller.
Okay, when you're looking at your ruler right here, you can see that here's an inch, okay? So, and now you go back to your notes, and you can look at some of the common conversion factors that we have. So we can see that 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. Okay? Now, a mile, we've talked about that, but here is a yardstick. That's what we used to have in America, but now they've replaced it with a meter stick. So you can see that there's that. How many inches are in a yard? 36, right? So here's a yardstick. Here is a meter stick. Okay? So obviously, which one's bigger? The meter stick. By how much? So if a yard is how many inches? 36. So then a meter is 39.37. So a meter is how much longer than a yard? 3.37 inches, right? So, but you can just kind of visualize that right here. Okay? So track used to be a 100-yard dash. And we had times now in the 9 seconds, 9 point. I don't think anybody ever broke 9 and got into the 8s on a 100-yard dash, but it was always 9.2, whatever. But now with the 100-meter dash, is that going to be a longer or shorter distance? A little bit longer distance, and so the times now might be 9, high 9s, low 10s. What does anybody know a 100-meter dash? What the record is? That would be a good thing to have a phone and say, "Hey Siri," but we don't have that. Oh well, you have. Can you Google? What is the world record for the 100-meter dash? Okay. World record for a 100-meter dash. 9.58. Okay, so go ahead and type in now just world record for 100 yards. So just change meter to yard. And they hadn't run that in a while, so people are way faster now than they were 20 years ago. 9.2, but it's still going to be a faster time because it's a shorter distance. So we just get an idea. Again, it's 100 meters is about 110 yards. Okay, just to give you an idea on that one. Okay, so now just so you know, these conversion factors are always given to you. You would never have to memorize any conversion factors. We just always have them. So when we look at the weight, okay, this is a kilogram. Weight, I'm going to pass this around. This is 1 kilogram, but it's going to weigh, and when I put it on the balance right here, I got to zero it out. 0. If I put this on the balance, it comes out to 2.2049. See if I'm close. Okay, 2.2049, and a lot of times if you carry this out, it'll go to 2.2. It's really 2.2049, so that's really 2.20, but 2.25. 2.205. You know, and so you know it kind of keeps going out, but it's about 2.2. Okay, just to kind of give you an idea. So a kilogram is way heavier than a pound. Okay? 28.35 grams is an ounce. Now the question is, how much is a gram? Here's a paper clip. Okay? Oops. Here's a paper clip. When I weigh a paper clip, okay, this paper clip weighs 1.12 grams. So this is just about, if you want to get an idea of how much a gram is, it's the weight of one big paper clip. That's about the weight of a gram. We don't even know how much an ounce weighs. We can say something is so many ounces, but we don't really have a clue. But it's going to be about 29 paper clips is going to be about the mass of an ounce. But that just, if you want to know a gram, okay, it's not very much. But, what I'm trying to, again, do is, I know that it's silly, and you guys are all just kind of, making faces as you're weighing that, okay? But a gram's just a very tiny amount. There are 454 grams, so it'd be a pile of 454 of those paper clips would be 1 pound. Okay? Just to kind of just give you an idea. Okay? I'm just trying to make something, give you some kind of tangible reference to what these values are. Okay? Now, volume. Here is, okay, you're just going to have to stay with me on this. I'm going to try and stay out of the picture. Now, this has been sitting. I think some of it actually evaporated. Although, when you read that, can you see that it's right on the 32? Would you agree that that is right on the 32? Okay, I filled it up yesterday, but some may have evaporated. Okay, here's your paper clip, your 1 gram. So 32 ounces, okay? How many ounces are in a pint? How many ounces in a pint? No. 16 ounces in a pint. How many pints are in a quart? 2. So therefore, how many ounces are in a quart?
36. Dude, that's what I meant. I meant 2.
Okay, 32 ounces is a quart. Okay, so when you're buying milk or you're buying something and you're buying a quart of it, it's going to be 32 ounces. So this is 32. This is 1 quart in here. Okay, so this is 1 quart. This is a liter graduated cylinder, 1,000 milliliter graduated cylinder. So here's the 1,000 right here at the top. So the question is, let's make sure I pour this and don't miss. So, did it go all the way to the 1,000? Okay? What would that read?
Let's see, 935.
9. Okay, so it's between the 93, 930 and 940. So 935 is somewhat good. Okay. The reality is that if you do, anybody have a calculator out still? Just take 1 divided by 1.057. One divided by 1 point, I'm going getting the other way. Is it 0.946? 946. So that's really what it would be, okay, if you were perfectly accurate. So, which is bigger, a liter or a quart, obviously? A liter is going to be bigger. So when we're dealing with when you go to a foreign country, you buy gas by the liter. So if you multiply by 4 liters, is that going to be more or less than a gallon? There's 4 quarts in a gallon, but a liter is bigger than a quart, right? So 4 liters is going to be greater or less than a gallon? Greater than a gallon. So if you multiply the price of gas, because they usually sell it per liter, you multiply by 4, you're going to be getting a little bit more than a gallon, trying to balance out how much am I really paying, trying to compare to what this price is here. It's just that's just one of those things that, I tend to do when I go to some other country. So I was in Guatemala this summer, so I was trying to figure out how much is gas, okay? But then you got to do the conversion of, it's in their money versus our money, and then you got to do that conversion too. But gas is always way more expensive in other countries than it is here. I mean, it's like California prices versus Alabama prices. Okay, California right now it's still over $5 a gallon. Okay, whereas we're paying $2.55. Okay, which is awesome. All right, so just kind of getting ideas here, and then we talked yesterday about 1 ounce, and I told you it was about 30 milliliters. You know, each teaspoon's about 5, a tablespoon's 15, 2 tablespoons is an ounce, so about 30. Technically, it's 29.56. To 2 sig figs, that's going to be what? 30. No, 29, that's a 5. So I'm going to round that up to 2 sig figs, it's 30. But the accurate value is 29.56. Now, I'm going to be giving you all of these. But what we want to learn, we're going to really dig in on Monday, but what we're going to learn is how do we then convert from one system to the other. And it's going to be 3 steps, 3 easy steps. But these steps, I promise you, this is probably the most important thing I'm going to teach you all year long. All the other stuff is great. All the other stuff is going to be exciting. All the other stuff is going to be mind-boggling at times. It's going to be mind-scrambling at times. But this is going to be the one that's going to be the most practical for you for the rest of your life. And it's going to be, how do I convert? When converting from one system to another, 3 easy steps. You start with what's given. Find the appropriate conversion factor and set the units up so they cancel. What do I mean by units? What are the units? The pounds, the ounces, the grams, the milliliters. Your units are going to tell you whether you need to multiply or divide. Okay? Now you're going to think when we start off on Monday simple, oh, I don't need to do all this, but as we get more and more complex and if we start getting into units like moles and kilojoules and different things that you've never heard of before, then we're going to need to make sure that we use this system. I promise you, if you make units your friend, all science, all math, life is just going to be easier and better for you. And I'm not just saying that because I'm trying to get you to do something my way. I just have 44 years of experience of kids going through my classes, going off to college, and then literally writing me letters and emails, you know, about how this has helped them. Okay? And that's what we will get into on Monday. But until then, we're going to have a great weekend. Football players, hit them hard, but keep your head up and be safe. Okay? A lot of y'all will just be, you know, cheering loudly from the sidelines. Cheerleaders, go. Volleyball players, you know, spike them, dig them, serve them. Okay? But the rest of y'all have a restful weekend and go Jags.